One of the biggest evolutions that Coachr has had as it started as an app that I use just to keep stats as we went on a game by game basis to see, are we serving well? Are we attacking well? Has been the looking at the season as a much longer arc and kind of seeing how we've progressed from the early days to the end point. This kind of thing is going to help us determine how our training goes during the season. It's going to affect that year-long training plan that you've kind of built. It's going to change over time when you realize, okay, these parts of the plan are working well. These ones aren't working so well. Maybe the competition isn't quite what we thought it was going to be. So we've got to adapt. And the season trends is going to help you with that. So let's take a look. So once we do start using Coachr a lot, there's going to be a lot of matches. And one of the biggest pains, of course, is organizing them. So if I look at my sidebar here, I've got an upcoming match, my demo hotspot 4. I've got 14 demo matches that I've captured already. I've got my men's Volley Association Cup match that we captured back on Sunday. I've got my Division 1 season that has 11 matches under their belt so far. We've got our national team friendlies, Association Cup by the Division 1 women, Division 2 matches, national team friendlies again, senior women from the SCA last year. So we have a lot of data in here. And you can note that I've got it organized by competitions. This is how to do that. So if we go look at the bottom, we can tap on this button, and this will allow us to manage the matches. We can add tags. So you can see right now I've just got one senior women. I've got filter by competition. So I've got all the competitions that I've ever added when I've created a new match. So I've got some combo matches that I used in the old days when I had a slightly different way of working with matches. I can create a new tag here. I can create a new competition here. I find that it's just easier to kind of create them on the fly when I'm creating a new match. If it's a new competition, I'll just type in the new name. And you can see on the bottom, I can group matches by competition, by team, by year, by tags, or not at all. And that'll just sort them by the latest is first and then the oldest is last. I like to keep them sorted by competition. And I can also have a look. You see, I have 119 matches here. If I go have a look for a national team, it comes back with 17 matches. Now this is looking across the name of the match, across the competition. It's looking across the tags. So there's lots of stuff that it's inspecting here. And you can see I've got my friendly versus entry, another friendly versus entry. National League matches come back up from 24-25. And next to each one of these matches I have, in fact, let me correct this one. So this one here should probably have a tag of senior women as well, because it's also a national team friendly. So I'm going to go tap on this tags button. And when I do, it's going to bring up a little panel so that I can edit the match info. So I could change the competition if I wanted. I could also add tags here. So I'm going to start typing senior women, and you can see that senior women pops up below. That's my one and only tag that I have. And then I can hit save. And so now I have two things attached to that tag. There's a little bug where it doesn't update absolutely immediately in this view, but it does update. I can also, you can see it also pops up here, so I can cancel that out, and then it goes back to the full list. This is a really handy way to just get a big overview of your matches and also think about how you're going to organize them. I find that competition is generally the easiest. In fact, if I go look at the latest one, any of the volley things will look, there's the Volley Association Cup for men, there's the Division 1 women's. And you can see I changed that from National League, as I was calling it the year before. But it's just a quick way to bring up matches here. If I also double tap on them, so if I go to this one, I can double tap on it, then I can see that we were a whopping plus 32 in this particular match. 31 kills, 16 aces, which is a little crazy, 24 opponent errors. You see we closed that one out relatively quickly. So that's a handy way to get around, is to use this button down here just to take a look at your match management in a little bit more detail. I find the tags and the competitions the most useful here. So if we go back up to the sidebar, one thing we can look at, like if I wanted to look at the arc of my season so far for, say, the Division 1 ladies, because that's the one I've been really faithfully tracking this season, I can go tap on this folder, and that's going to open up all 11 matches. In fact, I know that it's opened up all 11 matches because it tells me here that I've opened up 11 matches, and it's for that Volley D1 Women 2025-2026 season. On the season, we're plus 44, which isn't too bad. We're getting about 13 points per game. And I can look at the game stats. I've got the ones at the very start when we played Ballymun. And if I keep scrolling through, there's game 3. There's our next match against Impact Macroom. Here's when we played Balbriggan. Including the points and all of our stats for those. If I want to take a look at how things have gone over the course of the season, this trends button is really handy to take a look at. Now I can see spread out across the season and all the games what's gone on. And not just the matches, but the individual games within them. If I mouse over or I drag my finger over any of these, it'll give me an insight into what's at where my finger is. So you can see point totals kind of up and down. Sometimes we have a lot more errors than we have points. Sometimes we have more points than errors. You can see our attacking. They stay kind of close-ish. I would love it if we got a bit more space between those two, that green line and the red line. I've also kept our attack percentages in here. So we have our hitting efficiency, which is that number that we see a lot, where it's kills minus errors divided by the number of attempts. And then we also have our kill efficiency, where we're just looking at kills over attempts. So how often are we killing that ball? And then error percentage. And of course, we'd love for that to be low. Now, because we're including hitting efficiency, where it could go negative, we do have a couple of dips here below 0. But by and large, our attempts, our kill efficiency and error percentage should never dip below 0. So we had a couple rough games there. If I keep scrolling down, I can have a look at our serving. Where we have our dips, maybe those are game 5s where we've just not served as much. Or we've just struggled to get out of rotations. And I can also have a look at the serve rating over time. So I have it down here, and it kind of shows me by game. But a much more useful representation of that is this serving percentages here. So I can see where we've kind of had our lulls and maybe we haven't served as tough, or maybe we're facing a team that just is passing far better, with little rises where we are serving a bit tougher. On defense, we can kind of track our digs over time. We had a little weird dip here. Blocks are always going to be a bit lower than digs. We'll always have more digs than blocks for sure. And then I can also track my receptions over time. And this is all well and good, seeing how many perfect passes per game. But again, just like with the serving, the reception percentages, that's usually the thing that I'm looking at. See how well we've done on a scale of 0 to 3. Are we keeping that dot above 2? If we are, that's excellent. I'm relatively happy with that. But as you can see, kind of throughout the season, we've sort of been hovering under 2. That's sometimes way too close to just flat 1. We track defensive passing the same way. We've got assists in there as well. So this is a really useful way when you tap on that folder for competitions, or by team, or by whichever folder you're sorting by. So if it's by year, you can get the whole year's worth of stats for all the teams that you're tracking. Or if you are specifying teams, you can make sure that you're looking at that team's stats forever and ever. We'll also get a big overview just in general of how we're doing. We get a look at things like individual leaders. This is really big for maybe end of season awards. The Athletes Unlimited thing, I really like that model because it is giving points to not just, your opposites and outsides for perfect kills and passes. It's giving a wide range of points around to assists, to digs, to passes, so that your libero has a chance to pop up there, and so do your middles. In addition to, of course, our leaders, we also have the leaders and errors, which is not where you want to be. And we have some of those advanced team stats to see how we're performing over time. You can see we're not great still on first ball kills, hitting 6%, hitting efficiency on first ball kills. And even free ball stats, that's not a great number. That 16% hitting efficiency. It's not too good. So we want to try to improve that for sure as we close out the season. That's what we want to maybe try to work on a little bit. Okay, so that's a way to take a look at a wide range of stats. We also have, of course, these stats. It gets a little bit harder to look at the games here because we've got so many games up at the top. So I tend to take that big step back. We can look at every single stat that we've captured over the course of the year. In fact, as we scroll through these are all the game 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 from all the different matches throughout the season. But we can take a look at our season-long rotation analysis. Again, if I take a look at attacks and filter out the serves, that rotation 4 is absolutely killing it. So is rotation 3 and 2. With plus 31 for both of them, plus 42 for rotation 1, which is a bit rare. And by some freak accident this year, we are just having much lower numbers in rotation 4, 5, and 6, which is not what we had last year. So there's something interesting there with our setter in the front row in position 3 and in position 2. We're just struggling that little bit more. A lot more errors. Struggling to side out just a bit more. You can also look at your passing by rotation. I do have some hotspots throughout the season, but not for every single game. So you can see we have a bunch of games that are just grayed out because they have no actions captured. But we can see that for a few of these games here, we have our actions captured as I was prepping us for the next match. I can also look at season-long set distribution. So our main setter has pushed the ball around pretty well. We've got 3 people that kind of stand out, typically our outside hitters and our opposite. Same thing for Anna here, is then our next highest setter. She had that match she filled in for us the last match. And then we have Emer, who was our setter last year, who's played a couple games with us. Coachr, who stepped in for us as well. Our libero is usually the next one past the official setters. And in fact, Coachr shows up a couple times. And I'm going to show you when we get to advanced player management how we can fix something like this. Because she shows up there twice, probably because I entered her in twice. Maybe she was an extra player that we added in last minute. I'm going to show you how to fix those kind of player issues in a bit. Another big issue, another common issue is when we have created a match and we've taken the stats and we've said, actually, we're not interested in those anymore. If I look over at the sidebar, it behaves just like you should be used to from Mail app or any of the built-in iOS apps. Even for upcoming matches, if I touch on it and drag to the left, it's going to show me a delete button. So I can get rid of that match. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this one. I don't need that one anymore. It's going to ask me to confirm. We always try to do that before doing anything where the data is going to be gone. We'll hit delete. We don't need that demo hotspot 4 match anymore. And if I needed to do that for anything else, I could also go in here and say, actually, hotspot demo, the first one wasn't great. The sequel was much better. We'll hit delete again. And that will get rid of that match. Now, you're getting rid of these matches. You may also have the case where you want to import matches. Well, down at the bottom, where we haven't looked just yet, this particular button, if you tap on this button, this will allow you to go search the file system to go find a match file. So I have a few JSON files here. I think I don't have any that I haven't imported already, but if you scroll through, you'll see that this here is an active match. So if something has a .active match suffix, it means that I've prepared it on one device and I've usually shared it to the other device so I can load it on that. That's another active match. Most of these are active matches. I think I just saved one actually for the men. So if I go up one and I go to my untitled folder, I see that I have a volleyball match stats file here. So if I tap that, it'll load it into my list of matches there. Now, this is actually exported from this particular device, so there's no point in me doing that because it'll just tell me that there's one already there. The way that you can export these matches, including these that are matches with lots of matches included, is if you go up to the share button, you can export the combined match file. It'll just export as a match file. You saw that I had a combo matches competition in there where I took some of my old ways of managing multiple matches and hid them away. But if I go to just a regular match, if I go to say the demo match and I go tap on the share button, I can share just the match file. And typically I'll save this to files or I'll airdrop it to somebody else. So hopefully that's giving you some ideas about how you might manage your season. I know I use the competition more often than not. As you add matches to competitions, those will bubble up to the top because we'll always try to show you the very latest stats that you've captured. And then of course we have this handy arrow over here that you can just tap on and that'll hide all the matches inside that folder. So maybe you can focus on one of the other matches. So with some of these tools, you should have a much better handle on how to manage the course of your season and be able to go back and take a look at, well, how are things going? Are we improving in certain areas? Do we need to change things? Or keep going as we are?